Today, I want to talk about the Black community and medical neglect. Yeah, come closer because I know somebody's mom and auntie probably needs to hear this. We as a people are holding ourselves back because we still believe that if you do seek medical attention and if you need medical intervention, that you somehow are not as close to God. I'm Demai Scott, and I'm recovering from PTSD. My background is in health education and promotion. And essentially, what that means is I'm a public health educator for communities, specifically the Black community. I've learned a lot of different health detriments that affect the Black community. And the thing is, we aren't doing anything about it. So, my question is why? And what I'm learning as a person living with PTSD and on medication, we are judging ourselves for needing medication. Why? There's absolutely nothing wrong with needing a little extra help. There's nothing wrong with not wanting to navigate anxiety naturally, so to speak, when in actuality, you're either barely showing up or you're showing up as a shell of yourself because you're trying to manage anxiety alone. And as far as depression goes, if you have PTSD and you are living and surviving through that, first off, hello. And I'm sending so much love, and I'm telling you, the journey does get easier. But what I learned, and I'm grateful it wasn't too late when I did, is that it's okay to take medication. Yes, I have a full medication regimen with a healthcare team. Medication in conjunction with other various therapies and holistic tools has helped guide me to more control over my life and my behaviors. As I've been more open within my family and within my community about my needs regarding medication, what comes up is a lot of religious aspects. Now, I retired from organized religion back in 2019, so I'm very spiritual. I've noticed that for some reason within the Black community, if a person admits their diagnoses or if they admit that they are on medication, it's assumed that they aren't prayed up or they aren't connected to God. And I think that is so harmful and so remiss. That is so not the case either. Uh, Me and God, we go together like this. And loving God and having your own spiritual practice has nothing to do with your medical needs. I think we need to stop trying to intertwine the two. And I believe that shame is the reason people try to associate a person on medication or a person with a harsh diagnosis living in their truth. Shame is the reason that we try to bring up religion and how that person is practicing their religious beliefs, and it has nothing to do with that. I think we are, as a people, incredibly behind on our medical needs. And don't get me wrong, I'm very aware of how the medical system has screwed over the Black community for, I would say, centuries at this point, because it's still going on today. At the time of the pandemic in 2020, I was working in a hospital as an HIV intervention specialist, and I learned a lot. What I learned and what I saw was Black people not believing in the virus. Hello, it was very real. Not believing in the vaccine once it came out as well. And Black people were also more heavily affected by COVID 19. we were losing people for very silly, if I, for lack of a better word, reasons. It's 2025. It's okay to take medication. You've been trying to fight the good fight by yourself, and you've felt guilty for how you've reacted or behaved. I know I did before I was medicated. I was showing up. However, I was showing up as varying moods. I wasn't able to stay stabilized. I was um, more irritable. So I was a bit more aggressive and more hostile. If this sounds like you, that's okay. Once I realized that, oh my God, I'm living with PTSD and I've been getting triggered. So it was coming out all over my body and spilling out of my mouth, right? Once you have a diagnosis, and it's funny because at the time when I first started my healing journey, the reason I began was because I didn't like the way I was showing up. And I didn't like how people assumed that's just how she is. I think it's easier for people to assume that that's just how you are because it's easier for them to comprehend. Now, fast forward to 2025, I'm regulated, I'm in therapy, I journal, I walk in nature, um, I actively pursue healing to stay safe and sane, I might add. This is the most sane that I've been in a while. No, but seriously, you feel like you're going nuts when you're living undiagnosed, and you feel so much guilt or shame because you know your community will judge you if you do seek help. But I'll say this. If you were if you broke your arm or your leg or any limb, hell, if you cracked your head top open, would you walk around with blood spewing out? Would you walk around with your arm dangling about? No. You would go seek medical attention and you would believe in those doctors. You would believe in the medicine that was given to them as a part of their purpose, right? You believe in the technology when it benefits you. So when it comes to mental health, Black mental health, we have some explaining to do. We do. And we have a lot of catching up to do because there are people now that are actively and openly speaking up about their mental health crises, about their mental health issues. And the first thing that people want to do is judge, criticize, or gossip about that person. And I'm here to tell you, if you are one of those people, you are an innovator. You are a leader within our community. Keep going. Do not let anyone discourage you from taking medication that does not have anything to do with your faith. It has nothing to do with your faith. I actually began healing because I knew something was wrong. And at the time, I was still going to church. And there's a verse that says, anything with a name must bow. And I remember thinking, I have to get diagnosed. I know something is wrong. I don't care what everybody else thinks. Everyone looked at it's easy to look at someone's achievements or their trajectory of their life based off of their goals that they've met and where they are professionally, but that has nothing to do with it. Yes, I went through undergrad, I went through grad school, I landed my dream jobs after, and I was still extremely dissatisfied. I was still extremely depressed during different, my depression goes up and down, it comes in waves. But I was too afraid to even say the word depression because I believed at one point, if I say I'm depressed, that means that my faith is lacking. That is so harmful and it is so untrue. If you're sitting here listening to me and you are depressed and you know it, you know deep down something is off. I was sitting at home taking Am I Depressed quizzes. If you're taking am I depressed quizzes and looking up the symptoms of depression, babe, you might be depressed. And that's okay. It's okay because anything with a name must bow, right? So why is it so wrong? Do not let the older generations discourage you or dissuade you from living in your truth and in your diagnoses. It is okay to be living with mental health issues. You are not crazy. You're not. You're not crazy. You're just you. You're trying to survive with the circumstances that you were given. And Black people, we've been given so much. We've been giving so, we've been given some harsh circumstances. I think it would be crazy if we didn't have mental health issues. How could we not? Especially if you're Black in America. Look at what we're living in right now. Are you telling me that you don't feel that in the atmosphere? Are you telling me that you feel okay every day with such an hostile administration and society? If you're good, by all means, you're good. This message is not for you. But for the people who know that your thoughts won't turn off and you're constantly thinking about something that you said or wish you had said, or just thinking, trying to be so diligent in making sure you have a response when you're in these rooms that you cannot believe that you made it into because you're just a little girl who was born into poverty and somehow worked your way through. Yeah, you might need a little bit of Zoloft. Who cares? And furthermore, your medical history is your business and your business alone. Anybody who doesn't believe your diagnoses or believe your need for a little extra sparkle, that's none of your business. And honestly, that person's probably unsafe. So be mindful, take your medication, get your diagnoses. That is okay. Find you a therapist. You won't probably like your first therapist. If you do, congratulations. You may be an anomaly, but sometimes you gotta try them on, right? Every shoe doesn't fit the first time. So you have to try out different therapies and different therapists and see what sits right with you, what makes you feel a bit better, what makes you feel like, ah, I can take a bit of a deep breath now, because the Black community has some catching up to do, and older generations, you have some explaining to do. I believe the older generations are standing on the idea of mental health issues as a lack of faith because they're unwilling to get diagnosed, to get on medication, to get in therapy. So that has nothing to do with the younger generation. We are the leaders of the future. The time is now. And if you're here and you're breaking generational curses to be on medication, to live in your diagnoses and still hold your head up high, that's breaking a generational curse. Make no mistake. Let no one talk you out of that. You are a leader, you are an innovator, and you are doing it. You already proved to yourself that you can do it without the medication. It's hard though, really hard. And it's going to get to a breaking point, and you are going to crash. You're going to crash. And at that point, I don't care what anyone says, you need to get your help and you need to find your resources. There's a ton of resources online nowadays. There's no reason for you to suffer in silence. Find your people. If your family don't believe in medication and they don't believe in mental wellness and mental health, that has nothing to do with you anymore. You are in control now. You're allowed to take control of your life in the way that you see fit. I'm Demai Scott. I'm living with PTSD, and I am tackling it like a motherfucker. And I hope you are too. So pass this message on to someone that may need to hear it. You are okay to need medication. You're okay to get a diagnosis. And that has nothing to do with your faith at all. At all.